These are some must-read books for 2025. Yes, I'm making this video because I haven't actually read any book recently in a while. I read a book here and there, but nothing concrete. So instead, let's look forward. This list will be made up of books that I was able to read early, plus other books that are on my TBR that I haven't received early copies yet that I would really like to. So let's get into it. Just quickly, if you haven't read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, I highly recommend this romance book. It's a really sweet, heartwarming romance between a jaded radio host and the woman who calls in for like help on her love life. It's out everywhere now. I loved it. I want to talk about The Raven Scholar. I loved this high fantasy book. It really is high fantasy, no romance. The romance in it is more like implied history between a few of the characters. The fantasy I loved. I thought it was so engaging right from the beginning. It follows these people in a contest to become the next emperor. But one of those contestants is murdered and then another contestant is tasked to find out what happened. Absolutely flew by for me. I thought it was a very, very good book. It comes out in April. Next, Night in the Moth by Rachel Gillig. Much like One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns, this is a very gothic, atmospheric tale. We follow a diviner, and a diviner is someone who can like predict the future through her reading of omens. Every diviner stays in their service for a set amount of time, and by the time this current group of diviner service is ending, each of them are going missing one by one. So Sybil decides to do something about it and go on a quest to find them. Who joins her on a quest? A really hot knight called Roderick and a gargoyle. This is a great fantasy book with a very amazing romance subplot. It's filled with yearning, of like eye contact from across the room, of intimacy without touching. It is also first in a duology. This one comes out at the end of May. Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. This is out in like 2 weeks' time. It's come up very quickly. This is of course the story of Haymitch's Hunger Games. This is the book that I wanted when The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes came out, so I'm very, very excited to relive my youth by reading this book, and I'm very curious for what Suzanne will have to say about the world. The Irresistible Urge to Fulfill Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. This comes out in July. It is a fantasy rom-com and it's an absolute delight. If you love character development, you're not going to get it in this book. This follows two characters who meet, they know who they are adults, they are happy with who they are as people. Interactions they have with each other and the connection they go on to have fundamentally alters, you know, what they think their life will become. The banter! This is a legitimate slow burn. It's first in a duology. Keep that in mind going in. If you're expecting much payoff in the romance in book one, you're not going to get it. And I think that is part of the delight of this book. Rose and Chains by Julie Soto. This is a dark fantasy romance book. This one also comes out in July. I love Julie Soto's romance books. I think she knows how to write romance in a very effective way. She is very good at creating tension. So I do expect to see that in Rose and Chains. And that's all I'm going to say on that book for now. My most anticipated release of 2025 is of course Alchemized by Céline Mew. This comes out in end of September. It will be a very dark fantasy book. It is not romantasy in my opinion. Romantasy implies a strong romance plotline. This doesn't have that. This is a love story. There is a very clear distinction between romance and a love story, so keep that in mind going into it. Parts of it will be romantic, but I would still not call it a romance. Céline Mew's writing is incredible. It's so evocative, it is so absorbing, and I cannot wait to support her venture into traditional publishing. I am so excited to read this! Oh! I just want it now. I feel very uninspired by a lot of books. I would just really like to read this now. Calabasas by R.F. Kuang. She's sticking with her academia roots in this one, and this will follow two students as they trek down into the underworld. I haven't read it yet. I wish I had. This comes out in August. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I was very lucky to get an early copy of this through NetGalley from the publisher. I'm about 40% in. V.E. Schwab's writing just sweeps you away. It's so vivid and so visceral, and this follows a bunch of sapphic vampires over many different years. And I am very excited to resume reading it and finish it very soon. These were all my top priorities for 2025. If you think I've missed any, please let me know. I haven't included a lot of books because I've run out of time, like Olivia Blake, Ashley Poston, etc. These are the top tier, and I'm excited, and I think you should be too. I'll update you on my thoughts as I read them.